And good evening, everyone in the UK and over there. And good afternoon to everyone here. Welcome to Thursday Live. I'm Steve Leahy. How is everyone doing? Everyone doing great? We're going to get right into it because I have a shorter feed today by comparison. I'll probably only be able to go for about an hour today. So we're going to jump right into it. I'll explain what I'm doing as we go. So that's what I'm going to do. Right. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Let me Yeah, I'm going to actually switch to the overhead camera first because it's going to get wonky while I set up the big camera, and you'll see why in a second. All right. So, hello everyone. How is everyone doing? Dan, what's going on? Big Mountain, what's up? Paul, what's happening? Excellent, everyone. Excellent. There's only one bit of show and tell for today, and I posted it today as well. So you guys who have been following me on any of the other medias of social would have already seen it. I finished the painting of my dad last night, so I posted it up. I'm gonna try to. I have my jumbo mega camera lens on right now for today's feed, so I don't know how it's gonna work for this, but we'll give it a shot. It's the macro lens, so it's super close, but we'll get there. So this is the painting. Let's see if it works. Nope, it's not gonna work, so I have to use the overhead. All right, so there is the painting of Daddy-O, and I just finished it up, and I was able to still get the clear on it last night. This is UVLS satin clear from Createx. So it just looks real nice. Evens everything out really well, and that's how it came out. So what I'm thinking about doing, I already have the frame on order for this. It should be in this week. I've got a ampersand floater frame for it, and I'll post it again when I get it framed. But this is the backing for it that I put together. So this painting will just kind of adhere to this. I'll use double stick tape, the 3M crazy strong, very high bond tape, and that'll put it on there. That'll put it on a matte background. One thing I was thinking about doing now that I've seen it, by the way, the frame rail will be gloss. So it'll be gloss, matte, and then the satin for the painting. So it'll really kind of come together well. But I was still thinking it's missing a little something. So once I get the frame in and can take a look at it, I'm considering putting like an inline aluminum leaf stripe around the inside edge of the painting, but I won't know that really till I get it, the frame. But that's kind of where it's at. So anyway, so there's Daddy-O. That's how that came out. Now I can jump back to jumbo mega macro lens. This camera is amazing. The lens is also amazing. Just really super happy. I've had the lens for a long time, but I got the camera just recently. It's a Canon M50, which is nice because it's made for live streaming and that kind of stuff. All right, let me explain what's going on with this in case you missed the feed on Monday, because I'm having fun just kind of continuing on the Facebook live feed. Simon Carter, what's up, buddy? JC, what's happening? Ryan, what's going on? That's okay, Ryan. I appreciate it. You're on all over the place. I love it. Where was I? Yeah, if you were here on Monday on the Facebook live feed, I started this, and this actually came from a challenge kind of a challenge put out there on YouTube that I saw from an artist called named Eddie Milburn, and he runs Crazy Thing Art or Crazy Thing Airbrush, and he had thrown it out there that he does a lot of pool cues, and he did a cue ball, and he did a cue ball with a bunch of skulls on it. Hang on one second. You guys might be experiencing buffering. I'm not sure why. So hopefully that'll clear itself. If it doesn't hang in there, hopefully it'll work out. It seems to be okay on my end. Yeah, everything seems to be rolling on my end, so I'm not sure if it's a problem on YouTube side, but just hang in there with it. So anyway, so Eddie does a lot of painting on pool cue balls, and he did one with a bunch of skulls on it, and then kind of threw the challenge out to the universe to also give it a shot. So I love a good challenge. I also love painting small, so this is right up my alley. So what I did was I'm gonna put on my gloves so I don't get grease and stuff all over this. So what I did was I started with a standard cue ball. I don't have the other. I bought two. I just got them online. I just started with a standard cue ball, and then I sanded it all and then applied base coat Autoborn Sealer Gray, and then sanded that as well, and I came out with this surface. And if you watch this week's Tech Tuesday, you get to see, or actually if you watch the Facebook feed, you got to see it live. But halfway through the feed on Monday night, I dropped this on the concrete floor, and it bounced a whole bunch of times. And I know this stuff is tough, but actually I was super surprised to see that this took no damage at all. It just had a little shiny spot on one side. It blew me away. I mean, the Autoborn Sealer is great. I knew that, but I did not expect it to be that good. So what we did on Monday was this little section right here, kind of right in the middle here. But then during the week, I kind of got set up to kind of lay out the rest of this, and that's what you're looking at right now. So originally I started with all these 3/8 inch roughly skulls right here, and then what I ended up deciding to do is I figured it needed to be mixed up a little bit. It was looking I mean, it would look cool if they were all the same size, but one of the greatest kind of, not tricks or rules, but well, I guess it's kind of a rule. One of the greatest design elements that we have and seems to resonate really well is repetition with variation. So whenever you have a design and you have the same thing, but they vary a little bit each time, humans really gravitate towards that. So I thought I'd include that in this pool ball by doing a change in size. So there'll be the background roughly of all these 3/8 ones, the ones right above my thumb here. But then I decided to trail off a group of larger skulls all the way around. You see I started to lay them out. So there'll be one more big guy like right here, and then, well, maybe another one too, because I want to get back to the other side. The other thing I decided to do at the poles of this cue ball is make them as really, really super, super tiny. So that's what I did there. I just kind of laid out, that'll be kind of the north pole of this cue ball. I might do it on the bottom, probably not, because will ultimately sit on a stand of some sort, so you won't really see the bottom unless you pick it up. So I think I'll just, I'll just do them, this size on the bottom right there. So that's it. So that's me laying it out, and now you guys are caught up. Now what I have done is I've taken videos along the line, along the whole process of this. I even took videos of the priming and prepping of this as well. Again, because it's it's just, I mean, it's a fun challenge, but it's still a challenge, and I want to, really stick to it. So I want to make sure there's no question that I followed the rules. The only real big rule with this was that it needed to be freehand airbrush. So there's no paintbrush, no stencils. I didn't even use any drawing on this. I'm just drawing them on the surface with the paint. So I wanted to stick to that, and I also wanted to make videos. Plus, I think in the end it'll make a really fun video when I put it all together and edit it. So today what we'll do is I'll do a few of these 3/8 inch skulls to kind of show you how I did those, and then if we have time, I'll start one of the bigger skulls that's going to be right here. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how that goes. All right. The silver can holder. Thanks, Simon. Right now that's the front runner. Chris Garcia was really cool. Sent me a bunch of Amazon links for baseball display cases, which are kind of cool. But I'm still leaning towards that antique silver candlestick. I know I can find them around here. We have a lot of great thrift shops and antique places, and I know I'll be able to find something really cool. One of the shorter ones, So that's what I was thinking. JC, with my micro skills, I think 1,000 will fit on there easy. Yeah, I don't know how many are ultimately going to be on here. I mean, if you were good at math and they were all 3/8 of an inch, you could probably do the math to figure out the area and then figure out how many skulls roughly. But now they'll have all different sizes. I don't know, and I'm not going to count them. So there's that. Yeah, JC, that was amazing. And if you watch that feed, if you go back to Monday night's live's feed, just fast forward to the 1 hour mark, and you'll hear it. I go to pick up the cue ball. I even put my hand on top so it doesn't go anywhere. And as I swung around, I think I caught, I don't know what happened. I can't even remember. And you can hear it. It like, even when I listen to it now, it makes my stomach drop. And it went under the little table behind me, so when I pulled it out, I was totally expecting to see not just base coat. I was expecting to see like a dig right into the pool ball and all that other fun stuff, but it did not. Tattoo skull. That's a good idea, JC. Yeah, in Eddie's, and we're still getting buffering, so I apologize for that if it cuts out. In Eddie's, one of his skulls, he has the mouth open and there's a tiny skull inside the mouth. So I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to hide a bunch of stuff in this. Someone had made a suggestion Monday to put a stormtrooper in here, so I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. Oh wait, what am I doing? Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to do the Stormtrooper live or on the videos. I'll do that separately, and you guys, I'll post it so you can see it, but I won't tell anyone where it is. All right, so I think this angle worked good for the videos. So I'm going to put you guys up here. There's a weird light on it right now, but I'll correct that in a second. This angle here was good because it kept my fat head out of the way. And then once I get it settled, the other nice thing about this lens is, and I'm going to adjust the lighting and everything. Once I get this settled, I can turn off the autofocus and then it'll just stay right there. And let me change the ISO a little bit. We'll darken this up so it's not so brilliant. There we go. That's going to work. And I'll move the lights around so you get a little bit better view, and I think we're good. All right, let's do it. If you guys have any questions along the way, please, please, please let me know. If you have not subscribed and you're hanging out, I put a little note, a welcome note. Please, yeah, all of you can hit the like, that would be amazing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. That would be great. The YouTube channel is growing. It's so funny. I've had this YouTube channel since 2011. And I've done absolutely nothing with it until 2022. So it's funny if any of you are on, or doing like YouTube stuff. There's a great, I'm just going to start painting, so hang in there. So there's a great site called Social Blade, and it gives you all the info on, your channel and how it's doing and all that fun stuff. So it's funny when I look at the metrics on my channel, it's like the growth seems like, because they average the whole thing. So the growth on mine seems like amazingly slow because it averages out what I've done in the past year, but it averages out over, since I started the channel. So it's pretty funny. All right, Ryan, have a good one, man. Thanks for coming in. Oh, there you go. Thank you. That's awesome. So there's a good tip. I didn't realize that. All right, what I'm going to do now, on the Monday feed, I did like the highlights first. But what I found was with a lot of these especially the super tiny ones, these guys up here, it was actually easier for me to just paint in the black first and then just pop in the highlights. On the bigger ones, it's a little bit different. On the bigger ones, it's easier to put the highlights in and then kind of do the dark. But they're so small that it doesn't really matter which direction you do it. And there's going to be all kinds of blue shift all over this anyway, so I'm not really worried. All right, let me get some paint out. Today's cheers, if you're cheering along, I'm cheering with coffee today because I love coffee. I also have a Gatorade because I love coffee too much. Oh, the small ones are fun. Yeah, and again, everything on here, there's no paintbrush. I'm just, the rules are that you only use the airbrush. I should probably put the other glove on because I'll be holding this. I'm really, again, I'm trying hard to keep this grease free. So, and I haven't done videos of the entire cue ball because really once you see a few of them going in, it's really just rinse and repeat. So again, and to keep honest with the challenge, I want to make sure that people see how I did it, and then once they see that I actually did do it, then hopefully that'll be enough. I think a time lapse video, the entire thing would be kind of blah. All right, I'm going to turn it a little bit this way so I can get at it. The trick with it is really just to kind of be able to spray straight on. If I was like Monday, I was spraying an angle, and I don't know if you saw that right there. It kind of spider webs out a little bit. That's what happens when you spray this paint really thin at an angle, especially on a surface like this. So I know it's not a big deal because when I put the highlights in and the shading and everything, all that mini spider webbing just kind of goes away. But the closer I am to the surface and the more perpendicular I am to the section of it that I'm spraying, the less that spider webbing happens. Because again, this paint is really over reduced. Like if I put a little bit of water on this and then just ran my finger across it, I would probably take out 50% of the detail because it doesn't really adhere very well when it's this thin. Now the good news is once the clear is on, the clear kind of gets in between all those tiny little thin application of paint, and it really locks everything in. So it's not like it will delaminate because it's so thin that the clear just kind of gets in between everything. It's not like a base coat. Like if I would have over thinned the Autoborn sealer as much as I over reduced the paint, when I dropped this on the floor, it would have just scuffed right off. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So JC, that's exactly it. The paint I'm using right now is opaque black, but this mixture through this brush has reduced 1 part of paint to 20 parts reducer, and that's a rough estimate. I measure it by weight, and the reducer is less dense than the paint, so it's actually not quite 1 to 20, but you get the idea. As long as it's consistent to that ratio, every time I do it, it's the same. So. At this point, how many hours do you think you take to finish? That's a really good question. I don't know. I should probably keep track of it. I'm just kind of planning on doing this like in between stuff or at the end of the day, just kind of drop in a few more skulls. But I can actually, once I'm going, I can motor through a bunch of this. I can get through a bunch of them, so it's not going to take overly too long, and it's not, believe it or not, that it's not really as challenging as like doing a painting because I'm not switching gears like with the Harley painting. I'm going from the rust to like old chipped paint to the reflections in the headlights, so I'm always trying to switch gears and think of new things and as far as techniques on getting things done. But with this, it's really just painting skulls over and over again, so it doesn't take much brain power, you know what I mean? So that makes it easier as well. So I threw the big skulls in because I knew that this size skull would be behind them as well. And what I'm also going to do, I haven't got there yet, but these skulls will have a little drop shadow so that they look like they're above all these skulls. I don't want these to seem like miniature people's skulls and these, giant skulls. So. All right. And I did get to see my buddy Svi this weekend. It was great. I was in between projects when he was on, so that was really cool. I got to catch him. We have like a zero turn, like a riding mower, and that mower, the drive belt went on it, and I don't have the things to fix that, so they ended up picking up the mower. So the weekends have been kind of all about trying to get the lawn mowed with a push mower. So I haven't had a lot of time, but this weekend I was fortunate that I was able to catch him do his thing. That's what I meant to say. Catch him doing his thing. That's what I meant. Which is always fun. And I've also been getting into Dread FX's videos too. His reviews and his not yeah, I guess they're reviews because he did the Sotar 2020 and the Rich Pen gravity feed brush, which was really fun to watch. I like that. So I'm getting all my UK stuff in. Now, with this, there's a lot going on. So, you know, some of them, the filler ones, they are just, you know, kind of straight head on. They're also pretty small, so and they're stacked. So doing them sideways and in other angles, I want this to read the right way. So so most of these are going to be head on, but some of them, like, you know, especially the bigger ones when I can show more, will be at an angle. And this guy here is, you know, almost side view. I think the big one here is going to be head on too. One of them is going to be head on, but I haven't really figured that part out yet. And then as far as the pole, what's going to happen is as I kind of move up on the cue ball, as I get closer to that, all the skulls will kind of get smaller as no matter where, you know, where I'm painting them. So if I'm doing them down here, as they move up this way, they'll get down to this size, and that'll be good. So again, what I'll do is I'll do a few of these and then I'll lay out one of the bigger ones. I'll try to keep an eye on the time so that I have enough time to do everything. It's 1:22 right now, our time. So yeah, I'll work till about 1:30 on these small ones, and then I'll switch gears and jump on the bigger one. I'll show you how I kind of do that. Again, you guys know how I work. You know, I love using photocopies and paintbrushes and all kinds of fun stuff. But again, that's all off the bench for this project because of the, you know, the limitations of the challenge. So with that, since I want these skulls, the bigger ones especially, I want these to be, you know, look like real skulls. I have my small little skull model here. We call him Uncle Joe. So I'll show you kind of how I set that up and use that for reference. And then I just kind of paint from him. It's working out pretty well. Jim Halcrow, what's up, man? He made it. Awesome. Max, awesome, buddy. Hey, Max, I got your painting out today. Congratulations. Max was one of our 543 winners from Facebook, so your painting is on the way. So I'll put in a few more of these, and then I'll switch to the white, and I'll show you kind of how the highlights and then that end shading really kind of makes these look the way they should. Thanks, Max. Now, obviously on these little skulls, these 3/8 inch skulls, and certainly the smaller ones at the poles or pole, they don't get the same kind of treatment that the bigger skulls get just because of their size. So yeah, there is shading and shadowing, but they don't have like a lot of the overall detail that the bigger ones have. And again, that's just because the limitation of the tool. You know, it's how much you can get out of the tool. And with this Micron, you can get a lot. Or, you know, any similar super high detail brush like Dread FX was talking about, the Sotar 2020 Slim, or, you know, you know, a birthday present to me this year is going to be one of the Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes. I've never owned one, and obviously, you know, there's so many people that use them, and they are, you know, have such a great reputation that it's going to happen. So, but you know, their brush as well. Just anything really super high detail, that's going to do it for you. Tone, what's up, man? If Max hasn't left yet, I will let him answer. Yeah, Jim, absolutely. Well, see, Jim, I'm a huge Japanese airbrush fan. So if it's if it's made in Japan, I know I'm gonna like it just because that's the style of brush that I started out on. So yeah, the Krios, the Rich Pen, the Olympus, the Iwata, all those are like right up my alley. Love it. A day's work. I hear you, man. Are you done with those murals now? Are you still working on those? That was pretty cool to watch. I still don't know how you do it. I swear I'd be covered with more paint than put on the wall. There you go. Yeah, Max got it is you. It is you. It's fun. All right, I'm gonna try this brush. All my brushes are in dire need of a spa day, and I know it's not focused because I have the autofocus off. But this is my Micron C. It does the lion's share of the work around here, and as a result, it tends to get gummed up more frequently than all the other brushes because of the way I use it, which is a lot. So I'm going to use this for the white right now and hope that it's going to play nice because, again, it needs a spa day bad. It needs to be flushed out and cleaned and all that. Oh, good. Do that because I mean, I see it done. It blows me away, but I have no idea like the process. Like you know, do you do the outlines first? Do you do the shapes first and then outline them? Do you do? It fascinates me. And we're in a spot in Ohio where we have freight trains that go through all the time, and I swear when the artwork goes by on those, I'm like, I'd rather sit there and watch the artwork. And fortunately, they're like 100-car trains, so you get plenty of time to watch the artwork. There's so much to pick from, and they're all wonderful. Thanks, Max. That's awesome, man. You're planning on a big one next. Good. That's awesome, Tone. All right, so I got white in the Micron. Again, I'm going to hope that this plays nice. But what I'm going to do, you think about, what I do is I think about, well, the cue ball shows it really well. I picked a light source. It's not a universe or a specific light source from, like a painting would have it coming from one side and that would be it. Obviously this is a sphere, so if I move it, you know, the light, I could have the light coming from all different directions. And so what I've decided to do is always have the light coming from this top left side of the skull, no matter where it is on the cue ball. And so that's kind of what I think of. So the highlights are up here. If this cue ball is a skull, the highlights are up here and the shading is down here, just like it shows. So I do the same thing with this. I start off with on these little skulls, I start off with the major highlights, which are the ones that would hit like the top of the skull. And then from there I move on then to the areas that would like kind of catch the light, like the top of his cheekbones, and sometimes the bridge of the nose. Now, if I get spider webbing, which I am, on the black part, it doesn't matter because I don't want to get a lot, but it's okay if I do because I'm going to go in after with the black and then shade it and clean up anything that gets mixed up. So, doodle grid method for portraits on the graffiti or on. Because yeah, that method on regular, like canvas and stuff, works really, really well. And that one was terrible. So yeah, this brush definitely needs to be cleaned out. What's happening with it, and of course, you know, I'm asking this to do the last thing it wants to do when it's all gummed up. There's residual paint all throughout the inside of this brush. So what happens is I'm asking it to just put out a teeny little bit of paint, and there's no room for the paint to pass through the brush because it's all gummed up. So what happens is I end up pulling the trigger back far enough to get the paint to come out, and then it blasts out in spider webs, and that's what's going on here. Again, it's not uncontrollable, so I'll get this done, but this brush would be working so much nicer if it was cleaned out, which I need to do. So maybe that's going to be something that we'll do this weekend. It's just I have to find enough time to stop and do it because, again, you know, This brush is getting used all the time, so. Warlock, what's up, man? Thanks. I don't know. Thank you, Warlock. I appreciate that. But for me, it's, I don't know. The canvases just get bigger to me. You know, even though I'm working on this little tiny cue ball, it feels like it could be like, you know, a regular 24-inch painting. Just gets bigger, you know, while I'm working on it. The way I describe it, and I've said this before, it's kind of like watching movies on your phone. You know, we go to the movies and the movie screen's like 40 feet tall, right? But you watch a movie on your phone while you're sitting in bed and it feels just as big, right? That's kind of what I feel when I'm doing these. It just fills my perspective and just roll with it. Every hair on the dog, absolutely. All right, I think that's good for the white because I do want to get to some of the bigger ones before I have to break. So I'm going to leave the white in there. It's probably not a great idea. Actually, I'll throw a cap on it, but it's not going to stop it from gumming up, but it'll help a little bit. All right, so jump back to the other one. The letters I copy from the drawing that I bring if I don't know them by heart. Oh, that's cool. All right, so back to the black. Yeah, Simon, I thought I did something like that, but maybe I don't, I'll have to look. But yeah, that might be a good way to go, and it's a good chance for me to kind of kill two birds with one stone there as well. And thank you all for jumping in on those Tech Tuesdays. Those Tech Tuesdays are becoming the most popular thing on the channel, which is great. I love it because they're random fun thoughts for me about things that I've kind of come across and things that have saved me time, and I'm glad people are enjoying that. All right, so with the black, what I'm doing is just kind of running around the skulls I just put in, and if there's any kind of spider webbing with the white or the white went in a place that it shouldn't have gone, this cleans it right up. Now this, again, this black is so thin and sprays with such control. That's why I wasn't overly worried if the white did something it shouldn't, because it's easy to fix it with this. Mr. Garcia, what's up? Mr. Garcia, I'm glad you got your painting. Chris won the Moses painting from a few weeks back. I worked on that here as well once I started it. So Chris bid on that and got a steal, so that was good. Max, yes, they do come from the rambles, and sometimes they are rambles themselves, so I really want to keep that open too. Originally it was designed to be just kind of a you know, like things around the shop, like tools and stuff like that, but I'm gonna definitely, and I've already started with some of them, expanding it to things about just about life as an artist or organizing yourself or that kind of thing. It's a good spot for all those little kind of things that I've had to struggle with throughout my career and life, really, and how those things have helped me. So if I can pass that on, that's going to make me a happy guy. So again, this part right here is the fun part, because I've got the skulls drawn in, I've got the highlights, and now with this stage I can kind of get really in close, and I don't have to put a ton of paint on, but it has a big impact, and I can do little bits of shading, or you know, kind of push stuff back, you know, push the ones that are behind back a little bit farther. And you know, at this scale there's not much you can do for, you know, details like cracks and things like that, though they wouldn't read really well. You wouldn't see them anyway at the scale. So that's a huge thing with this right now too. Like in this dude here he is. This dude here, you can start to see the cracks that separate the plates of his skull. Even if you could do those lines on these skulls, you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. on if you had the skull this size, just a photocopy of the skull, they're so small that you wouldn't see those cracks. So the trick is if I go and put them in, if I try to force them in, then they'll look like giant cracks, even if I paint them really small. So the trick is to leave out what you cannot normally see anyway, and things will work out okay. Yeah, Chris, we were just talking about that. You missed that at the beginning. Originally, it was supposed to, or I was thinking it was just going to be these skulls all over the whole thing, but halfway through it, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So we talked about it, the idea of repetition and variation, and that's kind of what I came up with. So once I decided that I was going to do them in different sizes, I kind of picked a pattern for the large ones, so they're going to kind of trail across. We'll do the next one right here. And then the other thing I talked about was to really kind of put the screws to this challenge. I did these really micro tiny skulls at the pole. So I have a video of that too, so that they'll know, so everyone knows that there was no paintbrush or anything like that. But these are all still freehand. Again, all right. It's great, everyone should get their freehand airbrush skills down. I'm a big proponent of that. However, if I was able to use a paintbrush with this and the airbrush, it would be off the hook. It would be crazy, because the things I can do with a paintbrush outstrip even the best airbrush. So, but again, that's not the challenge, so we're not going to do that. All right, let's jump on. I like it better this way. Yeah, see, Chris, you're a perfect example. That's we as humans. I don't know why. I don't know why that's a common, thing that people really like visually kind of attach themselves to. But it's over and over again. That idea of repetition and variation. Just it's one of the key parts of good design. All right, let's do it. So I don't have a ton of room here to show you Uncle Joe, but I'm going to give you an idea of what I'm going to do. So I'll move the cue ball so you can see what I'm going to do off to the side. So I have these big magnets, these 3 ceramic magnets that I use, and they fit right under Uncle Joe's skull here. This is a great thing. I don't know where I got this. It's anatomical, but it's pretty small, which is nice because you can fit it anywhere. It's not like a huge, giant skull. So what I can do is I can just kind of put it on the magnet and just kind of leave it. So I have him as a reference. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set him up like this, so he's straight on to me, and then I'll use him for a reference off to the side, and we'll build this next skull. Don't drop the ball. Yeah, Chris, that's exactly it. You guys know, I'm a big fan of whatever gets the job done kind of thing. So yeah, if I could use a paintbrush with it, if I could use photocopies with it, that would be really great too. But yeah, that's not the challenge, so we're not going to do it. All right, Joe, let's do this. So we'll put this next skull right about here. And I'm doing good on time, right? Yeah, 20 minutes. How am I going to do this in 20 minutes? I don't know. So we'll start it, and then we'll see what we can do. But you'll get the idea. So what I'll do first, then I'll take the white. Again, exactly, Jim. Oh, I rewatched it because I need to rewatch it to do a few things, and I got to that point again, and the sound I make as I drop it is just, it still makes me cringe. It's like, oh! Yeah, that was bad. I thought that was going to be a seriously what could go wrong. No, what did go wrong moment. All right, this white paint is a little bit thin for this, but we'll give it a shot, see what happens. So what I'm going to do to start sketching this, it's kind of the same that I do for the other stuff. Like I'll just pick the lightest parts of this and just start kind of throwing them in. There are a lot of ways to do this. You can sketch kind of the whole thing in and then refine it and add the highlights after. You can you can paint it in with the black first, like outlines and shading, and then add a few highlights. And I mean, there are a million ways to do this. So it really just boils down to what you're most comfortable doing and the way that you want to paint it. Um, for me, I just I enjoy building up the highlights and feeling that where things are supposed to be to start, and having them kind of pull out of the surface, almost like you're kind of sculpting in reverse. Do you have a running count on how many skulls you've done? I haven't, Cody, and that's a really, like, that would be the way to do it at this point. Like, I'm not too far into this thing yet. I could probably count them and then keep track after that. However, I don't exactly know that I will. The only reason to, well, I guess it would be a good idea to know, but someone had mentioned on the Monday feed, which is a good idea. It would be fun to have some sort of contest, have people guess how many. I will see. I don't know. Maybe I will. March. Yeah, Chris. All right, you convince her to do that. That's fun. She's got enough going on. Seem to favor working on a darker background and starting with lighter tone than going dark. Yeah, that's, and if you watch Crazy Thing, he prefers to work on a black background. In fact, his cue ball, the way he primes it is, I don't know what kind of paint he uses, but he paints basically everything black first, and that's a pretty common custom painting way to go. If you watch a lot of custom painters, they'll frequently work on darker surfaces first. So again, it's just a different, you have to have a kind of a little bit different mindset and be prepared to kind of work things in a little bit different way. But that's it. Javier, what's up? Yeah, Jim, let me, I will mull that over. Again, now's the time, because now I know I could probably count the ones I have on here without too much pain and suffering. I do know that when I did this before, so there was when Mike Learn first came out with the Mojo, which is this brush here. So again, talk about Japanese brushes. This is a Rich Pen. This is a 222C. The old model of this was a 213. So Mike took this brush way back in 2007, 6, 7, 8-ish, and super tuned them and called it the Mojo. There it is right there. And he still makes these. This is the brand new one that he has. But anyway, as a fun like kind of project I did with it when we first came out with it, because it was so detail oriented. I ended up doing the same thing, a bunch of skulls, but I was able to fit 100 skulls in the space of a dime. So and they were roughly about this size here. So yeah. That's good. I know, Javier. I always paint in tiny things. Not always, but like right now, I have another great project with Mission Healing Soldiers. So I'm doing another jet painting for them, and that's a big painting, like 16 inches by 20 inches. So big ones do show up every once in a while. Oh, yeah, you know what? I showed this on Monday. I can show this now too. Let me jump over to here while I'm thinking of it. So one of the other challenge projects along the way was, here it is. I showed this on Monday night. I'll show it to you now. Someone had asked, was joking, the same kind of saying, you should do something on a grain of rice. So there is your skull on a grain of rice. That's the same kind of thing. That was a while ago. I think that was 2011 that I did that. And I was telling the story Monday. I didn't realize, because I never looked, that a dried grain of rice has a lot of texture on it. So that was fun to try to do that. And then I ended up finishing that piece and including it in a show, and I ended up making chopsticks for it. So glued the little grain of rice to the chopsticks. And I just called that painting Bad Rice. So that was that. It was fun. Oops, sorry, I'm fumbling. There we go. Yeah, so it's good. Ant-Man painting. Jim, don't be, I don't know. My eyesight up close is really good, but man, am I paying for it now at the end of the day. Like, for getting older, like, you know, you see everyone, I'm fortunate that my eyes are still really good up close. Like, usually people say when they hit 50, then, you know, they have to start wearing reading glasses, and, you know, it's common. It's the way things are. But for me, my eyes have stayed good up close, and partially that might be because of what I do. You know, I'm just constantly using my eyes on this, you know, at this scale. I think it's just kind of kept my eyes sharp. The problem is at the end of the day, man, my eyes are fatigued at the end of the day, where they really weren't before. Like, I could do this all day and be fine. Now it's like, takes me a while to readjust to normal viewing. Javier, I do, but it's an old one. So it's called How Airbrushes Work. I wrote it back in, again, that same period, 2008, 2009. And it's kind of it's like a general airbrush book. And it isn't so much, there's not anything about, you know, painting mini or anything like that in it. It's just getting into it. And the goal was to kind of do a book that would kind of stand the test of time. And I hope it still does. We tried to keep, there is some product stuff in there, but tried to keep it to a generalization, so that, again, it was more about, you know, how airbrushes work. So yeah, it was a fun book to do. It was a lot of work. You can get it on Amazon now, as well as a few other places. But no, I don't have a book on like the real mini stuff. Now, do I want to do this a half skull or a whole skull? I don't care right now, because what I'm going to do to make sure we get everything done is I'll do his lower jaw later. I think I am going to put his lower jaw in there, but I'll leave it till later. I'm out of loop. Whatever happened to the gas station painting? So, Chris, the gas station painting was a commission. I did that for someone. We did end up making prints of it. And if anyone wants a print, they can let me know. But I'm not putting it on the site as an item. Those are more like just kind of, I'll do those to order, I guess. That is one of my, I've known the guy who commissioned that, Tony. I've known him for a long time, and I've done a lot of work for him too. I painted his, if you guys remember the white Corvette convertible, that's Tony's car. I've done that. Done a bunch of work for him. He's a lot of fun. There he is. There he is. What's up, Bill? Obviously, I don't have to tell people, if they're not following the airspace, go follow the airspace. Oh, want to see the finished piece? Chris, I never showed the finished painting. All right. All right. I'll try to remember. I have one of the prints, and it's a Giclée print. So it looks just like the original. So I will try to make sure I drag that out when next feed, I think. Yeah, Bill's videos are great. I'm waiting on Gesso to dry so I can start a tutorial. Awesome. Yes, Bill is one of those down-to-earth guys. Again, like Dread Effects. I love watching people who just kind of tell it like it is. It's nice. And Bill certainly tells it like it is. This paint is set up in here, so it's not spraying quite the way that I need to spray. So we'll see if we can loose it up. If not, then a month or so late. Don't feel bad. I follow a couple really big YouTubers, and I know they're big, so they can do whatever they want in a way. But one of the guys I follow that I really kind of got into, I got caught up on all his videos, and it's been like 3 weeks since his last video, and I'm like, wait, I thought you're supposed to like be consistent and frequent and all that fun stuff, but apparently when you get big enough, you don't have to. Marshall, what is up? Yes, indeed, happy Thursday. I've been driving around all morning and I've kept feeling like it was Friday, which for me, you'd think everyone loves Friday, you know, because you get the weekend, and it's a long weekend this weekend here in the U.S. But for me, by Friday, if I don't have everything done, like if there's usually like a hit list at the beginning of the week to do. If I don't have everything done, then Friday's, you know, a crazy day for me. So we're driving around thinking every day, or it was Friday all day, was not a fun feeling, because I'm like, oh, I got to get this done, and then I realize that it's Thursday. So, all right. So this is, again, I hopefully you guys have been keeping up with me. This is back to the same black that I had in the brush before. What I'm doing with these bigger skulls, though, is just kind of pulling out all the stops. So even though the skulls are bigger, that's licensed only for me to include a lot more detail. It's not just that they're bigger and then I can kind of relax. So I'll have, you know, the opening in the back of the eye socket for the optic nerve. And, you know, any, like we were talking about those cracks and things that I couldn't fit in the smaller ones, or you wouldn't see in the smaller ones, you'll see them in this one and the you know, the other ones. And what I'm doing is I'm just using again, you can't really see him because he's off camera, but I have the model skull right above me, and I've got the lights on it and everything. So, so it kind of just, it's just drawing. It's the same way as I do with the photocopies. I'm just looking up at the skull instead of a photocopy. Which brings me to my next point. So I've seen artists get a lot of crap for painting from photographs. And honestly, well, again, if you've never like drawn or painted from life, it is a different animal than you know, working from a photograph, you know, that isn't moving and all that stuff. But the technical skill to do both for me is the same. Like, and they teach you that when you draw or paint live. Like, one of the exercises is to just basically pretend there's a glass plane in front of you and you're looking at a two-dimensional object. So I never really understood why some artists get garbage for working from photographs. It's like, for me, it's just the same as working from life. Again, if you're talking about being outside, that's a whole different thing. You know, if you're working doing landscapes and you're doing plein air painting, you know, you're actually out in the wild. That's an entirely different scenario than doing a landscape inside. So many more issues and challenges and all that, and such a different payoff. But again, I look at that as an entirely different animal. It's not just landscape painting. So Lee Jordan, Lee just got off from work. However, with my being very light on making videos, I'm not complaining at all. I missed that. What am I? Oh, it takes a lot of you. Wow, I missed a lot here. Supposed to be consistent, but there are ways to work around it. Yeah, that's what I'm finding. Even done to try to relax this weekend. Tabs, that's awesome. Very good. Big question is, do you know what any of these bones are called? Yes, this is the... never mind, I'm not going to start this because I'm going to end up being a jerk, and I think Bill's being serious. My ability to remember the actual names of the bones from my, you know, anatomy classes and my drawing classes is not what it should be. So I will say no. So I said I wasn't going to do the lower jaw, but that doesn't mean I can start the bits and pieces, you know, so there we go. The nose bone worked. I know. I listened to Timothy John Luke Smith. He was on last night. His feed's on Wednesday night, and he has all the names right there in his head. He knows his anatomy inside and out. I do not. Yeah, this what I really should do is dump out this black and flush out the brush and reset it. But to save time, I'm not going to. I'll just kind of fight through it because, like I said, I'm gonna have to kind of break it two-ish. But I also want to give you guys enough of what I'm doing so that you can kind of see how they come together. It's a skull bone. It's the noggin. For a while there, I was just making up names, and I then I felt like I was making fun of people like Tim, or that I didn't want them to feel like I was making fun of them, so I stopped doing that. I mean, knowledge is amazing, and I have a lot of respect for anyone who has, a deep knowledge of any subject, especially subjects that I don't. Um, and that's one of those things that you could well, yeah, I mean, you're learning what doctors learn when you kind of get into that as someone who does a lot of portraiture and a lot of figure drawing. Knowing what's underneath there and knowing what's actually going on is very beneficial to what you're doing. um, so I want to make light of it, and I will, because I'm a jerk, but I do have a lot of respect for people who have the classical knowledge. My head bone hurts. Exactly. Zygomatic arch and orbit. Yeah, that's a good one. The zygomatic arches. It's fun. All right, I've got the internal structures of the eye socket down now, so now I can start to darken this up to where it should be. Uh, so that's kind of how I handle most of it. I'll just get the darkest areas in, and then I can shade it down to where it should be. I like doing that because then I get everything in. As my head is in the way, here we go. Um, Instead of kind of painting it all gray and then trying to poke those details in, this way I can kind of adjust it all, and then it's done. So, and as much fun as poking all those little skulls in, this right here is a lot of fun, because you can get into some really, really just cool stuff with it. Now, the process is exactly the same that I would do normally, and I don't know if I'll have time to do it on this. Well, maybe I will. Let me just work on this side of his face then. I was going to try to, do his other eye and all that, but let me poke some of the highlights in to show you where this is going and how it kind of develops. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the details, and I'm also kind of locking in some of the shading that's going on around it, like that. Once I get it there, then I can jump back to the white, assuming the white's going to work for me. I poked a skull once, almost got caught too. Bill. All right, let's see if this white's going to work. So again, I have the white in this brush. So what I can do is, if this is going to play nice, now that I have all the shading and everything in, I can kind of go in with this thinner white. I'm working at an angle here. It's not going to work for me. You guys are going to have to hang from that side. This white is also really reduced. This is reduced 1 part to 5 for the reducer. So this white is really over reduced for what it should be. So again, if I'm working this white at an angle, if I'm spraying it at an angle to the surface of the ball, it's almost always going to spider web. It really needs to be straight on, perpendicular, to really have that not spider web, to give it the best chance anyway. So now what I can do with the white is I can kind of go in and, add that kind of highlighty texture. If there's a little ridge that needs to be like lit up a little bit, I can do that now. And I'm not overly worried again about blue shift. It's going to happen, but it's happening globally across the entire piece. So it kind of looks like it's intentional. Hey, what has 186 teeth and holds back a monster? Your wife is a saint, Bill. That's all I got to say. I was going to say my sweatshirt from my beer belly, but all right. Top of the nose. You get the idea. She's not here now. And again, having this little skull right in front of me is a blast because all the little, details are right there. Like I can see everything. So I just kind of run around this thing and follow what I'm seeing on the skull. And start to get some really cool stuff going on, I'm unsupervised. That's dangerous. Couple more highlights on this, and then I'll switch back to the black and kind of put in a few more darks, and you get the idea. I will finish the skull. The skull. Oh, did you see that? Oh, I almost knocked it off again. I cannot be trusted. So where that right along that edge where it kind of got a little bit out of control, the white kind of spidered because I was at an angle, and as I just do that same thing with the black. Is it spraying by itself? No. So the idea is, then you just keep bouncing back and forth and fixing things until you don't have to fix anything anymore. And then you're done with that part. So that's kind of how I do it. And I'm telling you, working like this and doing the razor blades and the really small stuff, it is more fixing sometimes than painting. It's just the nature of the beast. It's small and things go wrong and you just fix it. That's what you do. And you keep doing that, like I said, until there's nothing left to fix, and then you're done. Well, at least that's how I do it. Thank you, Jim. You can send me the bill for your ER visit from your heart attack. Sorry. Well, now I know it'll survive if it falls again. That's the good news there. So I spiderwebbed with the black there, so it's the same thing. It's back and forth until all that's fixed. Yeah, I wouldn't test that theory. I don't really intend to, however, the way things have been going. Just spiderweb the other way. This is what I'm talking about, kids. It's like you fix one problem, you create another one, and then sooner or later, I'm going to get this right, and then I'm not going to have to do this anymore. So there are a lot of ways to get this done drawing-wise, and I can't stress that enough. I've seen people do some amazing things. I've watched in envy as people develop drawings, especially in a certain way. I have a tendency to kind of really lightly sketch it out and then kind of home in on that. I've seen people just start in one spot and completely finish that area as they move across the whole painting. That's really amazing too. I can't sit here and tell you there's a right way to do it. It's just, I think you should try all the ways and see what gives you the best results. So for instance, you know, I've got this eye here. This eye is clearly too high. It's just the way I sketched it out. But again, it's so lightly sketched in there. When I start to develop it, I can use the other side of it to kind of really be the determining, you know, kind of shape and everything. But you get the idea. Hopefully you get the idea. I don't know. Steve, you keeping the air on all the time, or is your finger going up and down? Hard to tell. Dan, that's my number one rule with everyone who I show how to airbrush. Air is on all the time. It's the most important thing. And you don't necessarily notice it, or you notice it more the more detail you get into doing, because the air is what's really keeping that paint off the needle when you stop. If you're always turning the air on and off, that paint is coating the needle and then it dries, and then that's where you get blowouts and tip dry and all that stuff. But if the air is on all the time, you lower that chance of that happening. So yeah, air is on all the time. Grab a brush that doesn't have anything in it. So yeah, the trigger's down all the time, and all I'm doing is rocking it back and forth like this. And that's for what I'm doing here, that's all I'm pulling the trigger back on these brushes. Just a little bit. I mean, obviously you can open it all up. But it's really just, so what happens is when you see it from the side and I'm doing this, it looks like it's up and down, but it's not. It's just me kind of pulling my finger back enough to get that to open and close. So that's how that works. All right. There we go. Yeah, air on all the time. Absolutely. You got it. 4 heart attacks left. Please, Jim, do not let me be one of those. All right, so there it is. So when this guy's done, I'm going to include the lower jaw. So he'll be good size. He'll be maybe about, I don't know, 40% bigger than this one, which is exactly what I want. I want this one to kind of fill up this area here. And then I'll have one more. Yeah, because here's where I started changing the size of them. So I'll put one more big one right here. And then that will give me all of them. So no matter what angle you look at this, you'll get something different. The pole with all these micro small ones, I'm going to spread that out a little bit. It'll be a little bit bigger area with the micro small ones, just so they kind of read well. And then again on the bottom of it, I think I'm just going to keep them, this size here. So I'm going to clear coat it. I've already got a plan for that. I can't. Well, maybe, I can't really. This lens is amazing, but you guys are like, the camera is literally like, well, I don't know, 2.5 feet away. Turn the autofocus back on. Yeah, so you can't even see it. The camera's like way out here, which is great because you guys are right on top of this thing, and that's the idea behind a good macro lens. So I talked about this on Monday. I built this little stand just out of a cheapo maple like stairwell cap. Grabbed some wooden dowels, sharpened them with a pencil sharpener so that they came to a point. And what happens is this guy sits right on here. That's how I primed it. And then what I did was once I sprayed as much of it, I can get about 80% of it this way. I just took it and I flipped it all the way upside down and resprayed it and did the whole thing. So that's the way I'm going to deal with the clear coat as well. It will put 4 dimples in the clear as I'm clearing it, but I'm hoping that with enough clear coat that I'll just be able to sand everything out and it'll be real smooth. That's the goal. So. What about the bottom, making the top micro skulls the same size as the area we normally have the helper striking points? Oh, that's interesting too, Warlock. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, this is definitely going to evolve, I think, as I put my everything in the way. I think it's definitely going to evolve. It already has. As I kind of work through this thing, I'll show you. Put the bloody ball down. Jim, I'm going to pick it up. What could go wrong? Yeah, so it has been evolving as I'm kind of working on it. In the end, it's going to be a blast. I think this is going to be a fun piece. I am going to make this available. Um, it's going to, it's just going to go up on the site. I mean, for whatever it's going to be. Like I said, I'm going to get a cool stand for it as well, and it'll just be a neat thing. Um, and then hopefully, it gets the attention that it needs, and everything will be fun with it, and it'll complete the challenge and all that fun stuff. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the way it's going, and like I said, this is one of those things that's it's something that I'll be able to work on at the end of the day for an hour or two or whatever, and just kind of bang it out, I think. Now I put the cue ball down. I'm not going to touch it anymore, so Jim doesn't have to have a heart attack on us. Sorry, Jim. I got all these lights everywhere. Sorry. I love this Visionaire thing because another great British invention, the Visionaire Flake King thing. It's just great. It's great. Another big thing too that's going on, and again, I am this channel is slowly growing, or quickly growing actually, but it's getting to the point where we'll be able to monetize the channel, which is really nice because I've got a lot of support over on Facebook, and it's difficult for people to support the YouTube channel when it's not monetized. So it will be. So you'll be able to do super chats, and we'll be able to do some other things. I'm thinking about doing like a membership component as we go along. So that's about to happen. And what I've been doing is I've been reinvesting all the money from the feeds back into the feeds. I've been keeping all that separate so that it goes into kind of making that better and better. So one of the things we'll be doing this summer is I'll actually be kind of building a room for the live feed. So it'll look pretty in the background instead of just the black, curtains. So we got a lot planned: soundproofing, new mics, that kind of thing. I do have a lot of plans for it. It's an important component this year for me to build all the videos and social media. And the way that all happens, it doesn't matter what I do. It's what you guys are doing, and you're doing a great job at it. So all those likes, your comments, what I've learned through all this, and I'm sure Bill can attest to this, you can spend all the time you want trying to understand the algorithms from all these social media platforms. And the one thing that works above all else is simply just putting out content that people want to see and that people want to react to. If you do that, it doesn't matter what Facebook is doing with their algorithm or what YouTube is doing. You put out good stuff and people respond to it, and everything works. And that's what you guys have been doing. I cannot thank you enough for, again, all the likes, the comments, the shares, all that stuff is what really is making this grow. So my promise is that I will keep investing in it and keep trying to do some better and better stuff, I guess. So that's what I got. All right. Happy Thursday. I've ranted enough for today. Hope you all have a great weekend. Those in the U.S., enjoy your Memorial Day. Keep it safe. Remember why we have Memorial Day. And have a good time. Enjoy your Monday off. I will be here on Monday on Facebook. So I wish I could have a virtual cookout with you, but we'll do something. So other than that, go watch Scott McKay tonight on YouTube. He's got a Memorial Day special for tonight. And that's what I got. So thank you all. You guys are amazing. Again, I cannot do without you. So keep up the good work. I love you. And I will catch you all on the next one.